on the roundtable, we are taking a look at the danger our country faces from the number of Chinese imports that have been literally dumped onto our country. Our economy is at great risk. What can the budget do about it?
The budget is like an iron dome. It protects our factories, it protects Indian capacities, and we need to defend them from the onslaught that the Chinese economy is doing on India. And it has reached huge proportions, so there is a need for an urgent step to be taken by the union budget.
What I feel is not single measure, there can be multiple measures, but the best way to stop Chinese imports is by raising tariffs. History has shown it. We must raise tariffs as per the WTO agreements, and we have the limit of 50.4% average weighted tariff, whereas we are imposing hardly 6%. So there is a huge gap between what is the bound rate and what is the actual effective rate.
I think we should strengthen our industrial policy and see to it that our PLI scheme also is interweaved with quality in a very strengthened manner, so that we are back on the path of having the QCOs into the country to a great extent of sectors and pushing them very hard.
Thank you.
दादी के हाथों का जादू और खुशबू से महकता घर। MDH गरम मसाला, असली मसालों से भरा हूँ मैं,
क्योंकि हर रिश्ता है स्वाद से जुड़ा।
आपके घर के खाने में रेस्टोरेंट जैसा स्वाद ले आए MDH का शाही पनीर मसाला। पनीर को क्या मस्त बना डाला।
कभी खेलों के मानचित्र पर उत्तर प्रदेश सिर्फ संभावनाओं का नाम था, पर 2017 के बाद संभावनाएं संरचना बनी। जनपदों में स्टेडियम, ब्लॉकों में मिनी स्टेडियम और गांव में मैदान। खेल अब शहरों तक सीमित नहीं रहे। लखनऊ से मेरठ, वाराणसी से अयोध्या, ग्रेटर नोएडा से गोरखपुर, मैदानों पर सिर्फ खिलाड़ी नहीं, अंतर्राष्ट्रीय इवेंट्स उतरे। खेलो इंडिया, यूनिवर्सिटी गेम्स, मोटो जीपी, डेविस कप, बैडमिंटन से लेकर खो खो तक। उत्तर प्रदेश अब मेजबान भी है और दावेदार भी। प्रतिभाओं को मिला मंच, प्रशिक्षण और सम्मान। आज उत्तर प्रदेश खेलों में सिर्फ भाग नहीं लेता, दिशा तय करता है। यह है बदलाव की कहानी, मेहनत की पहचान और भविष्य की स्वर्णिम उड़ान। ये है आत्मविश्वास, लगन और विजय का गूंजता संदेश। ये है नया उत्तर प्रदेश।
Welcome back. You're watching NewsX and I'm Megha Sharma. The Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Eknath Shinde has given a statement and said that thousands of Ajit Pawar supporters gathered today standing with his family in this moment of grief. He added that the shock over Ajit Pawar's sudden demise is hard to believe and his untimely death has affected everyone deeply. The Deputy Chief Minister Eknath Shinde also said that West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee's remarks on Ajit Pawar's death is inappropriate and to play politics over one's death. He called suggestions of a conspiracy unfortunate, adding that Sharad Pawar has clarified it was an accident. He also added that Maharashtra is in deep grief and such remarks hurt the family. Listen into what he said. All right, now there are two CCTVs that give us the real-time glimpse of what could have happened when Ajit Pawar's Learjet 45 nosedived into the ground at 8:46 a.m. near Baramati, runway 11. But they suggest different things. While the first one shows that the crash, the second one baffles us a little. What was the sideways maneuver? According to the DGCA, the pilots could not spot the runway during their first approach to land, and so they did a go-around and came for a second attempt. Still, no mayday call was given by the crew. Now that the investigation is taken over by the AAIB, it will probe some important questions, whether the crash was caused by low visibility, human error or technical failure. Let's open up this discussion. Joining me on the telecast is Air Commodore Rana Sanjeev Mendiratta. Sir, a response from you with regards to these two CCTV footage that have been released, that have come to light, and they clearly indicate, the second one especially indicates, shows that the flight was tilting leftwards. What could have been the reason for it?
Hello, good evening to you. I've gone through the videos. The first one, of course, is from very far and you can't make out much. But the second one, which you're talking about, last 6 seconds of the approach, show a sudden veering to the left of the aircraft, which could have been either intentional or it could have been that the aircraft has gone out of control for some reasons, which the black box will be able to show you very clearly after it is investigated.
Okay, all right. And talking about this confusion that seemed to be in the mind of the pilot, the fact that he has first approached the runway, he is not able to see it clearly, he takes a go around and then he comes back, he gives an affirmative to the ATC, the acting ATC over there, that he can in fact see the runway and he is ready to land. Do you think this is human error that may have been solely responsible for this crash? Because there was always another choice to go back to the nearest airport, nearest airstrip, if the pilot was unable to actually see the runway.
Yeah, I'll just tell you, we just have to consider a few things before we answer your question in particular. The airfield is around 2000 feet at elevation and it's not a proper airfield. It doesn't have the landing aids. In fact, it doesn't even have a proper ATC. Some pilots man it, some flying club aircraft are there, and it's not a full ATC. Also, there are no other approaches other than the visual approach at that place. Now, if you are going at say 8:40 or 8:45 in the morning in dense fog, which it says was there at that time, though the videos show that the fog may not have been very dense, but probably it was covering the runway in some way from the orientation of your landing. As I understand, the aircraft had initially tried to make a landing on runway 29, which is the opposite runway. And having not been able to do that, he's asked for the other runway and come to runway 11, which is the direction of east, 110 direction you go. Now, there are no aids. You can only go visually and you can only rely on your visual approach. And it was doing a visual approach only because there are no other aids. And as I understand, in the dense fog and maybe the minimas of that pilot was also just about there, because as it says that the visibility was around 3 kilometers. But that may not have been the right visibility at the airport because the airport doesn't have any meteorological section or something like that. And if you notice, if you go towards the eastern direction at about 8:40 in the morning, the sun glare would also be there.
Yeah.
The fog, the sun glare, the lack of instrument landing systems, and relying only on your visual visibility and visual aid, and you have to align for the landing. And it does become a little tricky at times with all these factors. In addition, if you add the red flags like trying multiple approaches, one comes under a little pressure when you're trying the multiple approaches, because it seems there have been more than one approaches before the final approach, which was fatal. And you have a VIP on board. So sometimes what happens is the human factors take over and you override logic at times. Otherwise, what you're saying is right. You could have easily diverted to Pune or Mumbai. That is not the problem. But probably they thought they are able to see the runway. But like you said, the sudden veering to the left could have been that the aircraft had a problem, which we are not sure at the moment. But could also have been that he intentionally tried to veer to the left, probably thinking that the runway is on the left, because it may not have been available visibly all the time.
Okay.
You can have a contact with the runway on and off also.
Okay.
If you notice, there is a road also going along the runway on the right,
Yeah.
which can also which can at times disorient you for a moment. Yeah.
Captain Kesari Singh, former Civil Aviation Director and DGCA examiner. Captain Singh, why is there seems to be certain section of the political class who are attacking the DGCA and the AAIB questioning their authority, their competence in being able to investigate this entire case. They seem to be wanting to blame the DGCA for not having been able to do a good job of actually finding out what the problem was, or for not being able to check all these aircraft, their audits that have to be done year on year basis, and somehow seem to come to the conclusion that it was the DGCA's fault that this plane has crashed.
Whatever these political leaders or whoever blaming state regulator, that is DGCA or Ministry of Civil Aviation, that is, it's very, I don't think that it's the right thing they are doing, because the findings, I think they should wait till the airport authority, that AAIB investigates and submit their final report. But primarily, as Mr. Rana explained, it seems that the visibility is a main probable cause for this accident to take place. So as you can see, just he explained well that nothing to do with the technical, like it's a primarily he attempted twice, I believe. The local flying club instructors, they said that aircraft came fast on runway 29, and because as a pilot, he was having more than 16,000 hours. He was a very senior pilot, and the lady co-pilot, she was also having more than 1,500 hours. So the pilots were well qualified, well experienced. So and just to avoid the early morning sun glare, they attempted to land on runway 29er. But they could not land, they could not locate the runway, and they just go around. They made a missed approach, and then they came to runway, another runway. So that was the I think that was a major I think it's a taken by the commander. I can say that because visibility was low, and I think that the people saying that there was 3 or 3.5 kilometer visibility was reported, but I think sometimes the slant visibility, like the pilot who is sitting in the cockpit of the aircraft, he cannot see the slant. He cannot see whatever is coming to his face. So that is my thing.
Those are some of the aspects that should have been kept into account by the pilot, by the team who was there operating the aircraft. I am also being joined by Captain C.S. Randhawa. He is the president of the Federation of the Indian Pilots. Captain Randhawa, how do you assess this situation right now, especially in wake of the it seems as if the pilot was in two minds. At one point, he was able to he was able to see the runway with certain clarity. At the first time, the visibility was not as much, wasn't at its optimum. Again, how important and essential a role a pilot plays in being decisive and holding to his guns and sticking to his decision in spite of whatever pressure and commands may come.
Okay, first and foremost thing, I would like to tell the viewers something about Baramati Airport. Now, Baramati Airport is an uncontrolled airport having no landing
Yes.
aids. It's a VFR airfield and it's a tabletop. Now, the runway is about 5,800 feet long, and it has no ATC. Now, the aircraft was last controlled by Pune approach and Pune area control, and they handed over. Once they said that the runway was visible, they handed them over to Baramati. Now, Baramati, having no landing aids, you have to rely on only visual cues. Now, as per CR 9C1, Chapter 4, Para 4.2, the minimum required visibility for a VFR airfield is 5 kilometers. This is not in India, any part of the world, it is same. For a VFR airfield where you have no instrument landing available, you are confined to having maintained that criteria. Now the AAIB has come out with a statement that the visibility was 3 kilometers. Now when the visibility was 3 kilometers, how did the aircraft start the approach? That is point number one. The second point is that when the aircraft came and it could not sight the runway, then it came for the opposite runway, 11, and the ATC at 0843 hours asked the aircraft that is the airfield in sight, runway is in sight. So the pilot confirmed it. After that, the landing clearance was given.
Yeah.
Now, once the landing clearance was given, there was no response given by the aircraft to the mobile.
Yes, we have been
ATC.
discussing that, yes, since morning. I'm just going to quickly direct my viewers' attention that these are the mortal remains of Ajit Pawar, which are now being taken to his family home. Tomorrow is when the funeral will take place in Baramati, in the presence of all the family members, including his wife Sunetra, his two children Sharad Pawar, Supriya Sule, and their respective families. Yes, yeah, Captain Randhawa, yes. So yes, yeah. we discussed all of this. The fact that there was no communication that was sent from the pilot after the ATC gave them a go-ahead to land, because the communication to that end was already made from the pilot saying that they are now able to actually see the runway and they would like to land. Again, but the question, if there is the slightest of the doubts, why risk your and everybody else's life?
Test of doubt in the pilot's mind, they are actually trained that you have to execute a go-round missed approach at an instrument airfield, and you are supposed to divert, or you hold if you have the fuel and the visibility to improve. Now, once he's come for the one runway, then when he came for the other runway, 6 minutes or 7 minutes would have elapsed in that, and when he's come. Now, there is no mention in the AAIB report about the Mayday call. So, Air Commodore Mendiratha mentioned some Mayday call.
Yeah.
Now, Mayday call is not given in the transcript what the AAIB has come out with. The next question is that the pilots, why it happened, as pointed out by other panelists, that there is a glare when you land into the sun. Okay, in an easterly direction in the early morning hours, there is a glare. Okay, and glare is, and that could have, what could have really, something could have gone wrong, which the DFDR will say. Maybe the aircraft had some control problem, or there was an engine problem, and he's not, the pilot has had a lot of experience, so he has not responded to the ATC. And on the contrary, they may have got engaged, and then the aircraft has crashed. So I would say the pilots are actually trained that in a situation where you lose sight at any stage of the approach, even if you are 50 feet from the ground, if you lose sight of the runway, you're supposed to execute a go-round. We teach the pilots right from day one. That is one. The second point is that this inquiry is now will be held by AAIB. Now imagine that in 2023 there was a aircraft skidded one Learjet in Bombay, and the inquiry started by the AAIB in 2023. Third year is starting, and the inquiry is not complete. What a joke! The Ahmedabad crash, it is just carrying on endlessly. and they don't have sufficient people. They've got 5 people in the AAIB. Give me a break. And it has to be an independent body. It is not an independent body. It is under the Ministry of Civil Aviation. So it is not like the NTSB. So when we compare to the West, we should follow it. Secondly, the qualification requirements of the AIB members, they are defined in ICAO Doc 9756 Part 1. Our members, most of them, they don't qualify. 2 of them are DGCA personnel. So this is conflict of interest. And that is why for the Ahmedabad crash, we are already in Supreme Court asking for a judicial probe, because there has to be accountability, there has to be transparency. We feel it is not there. And
Okay, all right, fair enough. Let me also bring in Air Commodore Mendiratta into the conversation. Commodore, it's also, there have been certain isolated statements that have been made by a politician or two, calling it a quote-unquote conspiracy theory to kill Ajit Pawar. While Sharad Pawar has come out and spoken against it and said that this was an accident and politicians should not try to politicize this situation in a tragic moment such as this. What are your views on this?
Like you said, these statements are political. So to start with, they are political and they are meant with a purpose. They are spoken with a purpose. Maybe the first statement which came from the Chief Minister of Bengal was that nobody is safe, means she herself is not feeling safe about the whole thing. And from there it probably emanated, that fear emanated from there, and then she brought it to a conspiracy and all that. I would give only that much importance to it. Okay,
all right. Well, let me get in my other panelists. Captain Kesari Singh, in a situation such as this, tomorrow is going to be the funeral of Ajit Pawar, the Deputy Chief Minister of Maharashtra, 3-day state mourning. How soon is it expected for the DGCA, for the AAIB to actually come up with the preliminary report? And as has been mentioned by Captain Randhawa, that there is, at this point right now, is a need for an independent investigation and regulation authority in the aviation sector in our country. Do you see this happening in the near future?
Yeah, I think the Captain Randhawa has pointed out very, like it's rightly said, that the position of AIB, we cannot say when they are going to submit their final report, but I think, as in the case of Ahmedabad crash, they came up with, after some time, they came up with preliminary investigation report, so-called. So whether people will, the pilots and other firms, they'll accept that or not, that will come to know at that time only. But I think there are certain lapses, like airport authority, like ATC was, like Captain Randhawa said, that visibility should be less than, if it's less than 5 kilometers, then he should have not allowed aircraft to land, or he should not have given landing clearance to pilot, number one. Number two is, like before departure, any pilot, any professional pilot with VVIP on board, when the state civil aviation department, Maharashtra state, when their deputy CM was on board, and have they not checked the visibility criteria of the destination, that is Baramati, which is a VFR airfield. So there are so many questions on how this Pune ATC, I believe that some pilots said that morning visibility at Pune was also very marginal, and they could not see the runway on approach. So all these things, like state administration, state civil aviation department should like if they should get the required information, because their deputy CM was, VVIP was on board. And secondly,
yeah, okay, all right. Yeah. Commodore Mendiratta, do you think at this point of time there should be an initiation of a campaign to push for our administration, our government, to create an independent body, and to what end will it solve the purpose of being fair and unbiased when investigating airplane crashes such as these?
There are international norms for all the air crashes. Whether you like it or not, you will have to have all those inquiries, and we have the bodies to do that. Now, if somebody says that we don't trust anybody and we just want Supreme Court, that is a different matter. Otherwise, any aircraft incident or crash will have to undergo all those mandatory inquiries which the international rules dictate, and that will have to be done whether you like it or not. And I do not think you should go beyond that, because even for the Ahmedabad crash, there is an inquiry going on which was a different kind of crash, and it's going on as per the international norms and standards by the Government of India, by the DGC and the civil aviation authorities.
Okay, all right. So where does this alleged distrustfulness and lack of faith come from towards the government monitored, government created regulatory authorities?
Would you like me to answer that?
Yes.
Well, part of it could be political, and part of it could be that you have an inner knowledge of things not happening right.
Okay, all right. Again, the question being raised about conspiracy theory. That's exactly what Mamata Banerjee at this point of time has said, that she wants a Supreme Court monitored inquiry into this matter. So where is it? Is there an end to it? And if those who are demanding a Supreme Court monitored inquiry into the matter, what are they insinuating is the question. Captain Randhawa, would you like to answer?
Statements and all, and I don't give much weightage to it. If some statements have been made, they are not true, and I would say that we have to go the facts of the case, and we have to see that what the DFDR has to will be when it is decoded, and we have the facility now in Delhi to decode the DFDR, and of course CVR is a easy way of following the transcript. Now, only after the DFDR is decoded, we will actually come to know that what is it going through. Now, as Air Commodore Mendirata said that we are following the international norms, I don't think so. Any international norm is being followed. The ICAO Annex is 13 and 9756 is the ICAO doc, and that is not being followed by only part of it is being followed, and they are investigating and they are harassing the parents of late Captain Subarwal into in the case of Ahmedabad crash. And
okay,
that is why
but then don't you think the Ahmedabad crash investigation and what has happened over there versus what has happened over here, with the kind of developments that we have seen, with the kind of instances that led to this crash, are completely different from what happened in Ahmedabad? Over here, there is a pilot. He says he's not able to actually see the runway. He takes a turn around, he takes a go around, he comes back, and then he says that he is more decisive about landing because he is actually viewed the runway from the distance that he was at, and he decides to land, and he is not able to land it. So again, the question, I mean, you cannot compare the Ahmedabad air crash investigation, the Ahmedabad air crash versus what has happened today. I mean, those are two completely different things.
Here also,
and here, in fact, the onus on the pilot is much more, keeping in mind it seems to be largely, could be, it's human error, whether he is buckled under pressure, or whether he at this point of time has, I don't know, whatever was going on in his mind and his crew members' mind, whatever it is, there are 5 people who are dead.
See, if you see till now, about 8 dignitaries, big dignitaries have died in crashes of helicopters or fixed-wing aircraft. You can start from Mr. Mathavara Scindia and some generals, and this is mainly so when the VVIP is on board or VIP is on board, the pilot gets into a pressure, and sometimes he is pressurized to do a landing and go ahead, and bust the minima, not knowing that this is scientifically made, these minimas, and they should not be busted. And there is a way to go through it, and if the visibility is going to be poor, then there is no point in continuing. Whether the Prime Minister is on board or any minister on board or any VVIP is there. So this pressure is always there on the pilot.
But you have the ideal situation, and then you have a situation that is more realistic. What's happening inside the airplane? What are the power dynamics over there? I mean, there could be n number of things that can at this point of time be discussed, be conjectured. But again, you know, we will have the black box recordings, and they will be published very soon. Will come in the public light very soon. I'm out of time. I thank